I think I can honestly say I've never seen anyone so thoroughly determined to disgrace themselves in public life. Gillian Triggs is unbelievably arrogant, biased, and pathetic. She epitomises elitist thinking. She believes that she, an unelected official, and people like her should decide what you can and can't say, all the while demonstrating she has absolutely no clue what freedom of speech entails. And when she's criticised for her arrogance, her lies, her misrepresentations, and her inescapably illogical arguments, she plays the victim card. So what did she do this time? Well, I'm going to leave that to Andrew Bolt, because his opening monologue on his show last night, May 11th, was the best takedown of this joke of a woman I've seen. Take it away, Mr. Bolt.
Gillian Triggs, the President of the Human Rights Commission, paid by us more than $400,000 a year to police our manners, our freedoms. Well, she today proved, here's a story in the Australian today, she today proved why her commission is actually a menace to our human rights, proved that it's been hijacked by activists. She also proved, in my opinion, that she has little grip on logic with her absurd speech in Melbourne last night, where she claimed that people criticising Muslim activist Yasmin Abdel-Magid for criticising Anzac Day were actually racists. Now, I will go through her bizarre comments, but I hear you. Hasn't she already shown why she should have been sacked by the government long ago? And I think you're right. I mean, remember how Triggs didn't hold an inquiry into children in detention when Labor was in government? Oh no. Remember how she held that inquiry only when the Liberals won office and they'd stopped the boats and started to empty those detention centres. Then we had her inquiry. Remember how she first said she hadn't consulted Labor ministers about that decision to delay that inquiry, and then admitted she had. And remember how she last year told a newspaper that politicians questioning her work were in fact seriously ill-informed and uneducated, and then told the Senate committee, oh no, she'd been misquoted.
This is a very shorthand and on occasion inaccurate statement of what I said at that lecture. I believe that was something that was put in by the sub-editor.
But remember how the newspaper then, pointed out it had actually recorded its interview with her, and Triggs had to admit she had indeed said what she'd claimed she hadn't.
Again, I repeat that to the extent that my comments offended anybody, I regret them.
Now, don't forget, this is someone paid by you to sit in judgment over us, sorting truth from lies. Well, let me now go to Triggs' speech yesterday in defence of Yasmin Abdel-Magid, a Muslim activist, ABC host, and despite being just 26, a member of the Turnbull government's Council for Australian-Arab Relations. Now, Abdel-Magid is the woman who on Anzac Day posted on Facebook this message: lest we forget, Manus, Nauru, Syria, Palestine. So, using Anzac Day to suggest we were mean to Muslims. Now, many people were upset by that, and Abdel-Magid herself admitted she'd been insensitive, and she said sorry. But enter Gillian Triggs. She yesterday told a meeting at the Melbourne Town Hall that critics of Abdel-Magid's post were an example of increased racism against Muslims. What a crock. First, Abdel-Magid herself had criticised her post, so is she a racist too? Second, Islam is not a race, it's an ideology, followed also by whites, like activist and academic Susan Carland, wife of Waleed Ali. And surely we must be free to debate ideologies, whether Islam or communism or fascism. But on she goes, Gillian Triggs. She claims we're demonising Muslims generally by criticising this Facebook comment on Anzac Day by a hijab-wearing Muslim woman. I mean, seriously? 2 years ago, we criticised another presenter on a public broadcaster, Scott McIntyre of SBS, and also for posting attacks on Anzac Day. McIntyre was actually sacked for that, unlike Abdelmajid. So, criticising McIntyre, that's fine. But criticising Abdelmajid for the same kind of thing, that's racist. Then there was this. Triggs claiming this incident has been used to constrain the freedom of speech of Abdelmajid. To be perfectly blunt, what a dumb argument from the President of a Human Rights Commission with many of the powers of a judge. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from criticism. Criticising Abdelmajid's comments on Anzac Day is no more an attack on free speech than Triggs calling her critics racists. And why is Triggs suddenly a free speech crusader anyway, when she seemed, to me at least, an enemy of free speech up to now? For instance, this is the same woman who gave a medal, and I mean literally gave a medal, a human rights medal, to a lawyer who'd got 2 of my columns banned. And why is Triggs now worried about Abdelmajid's freedom of speech when her commission also dragged in 7 innocent Queensland University of Technology students merely because they complained against race segregation at their uni? And in fact, 3 of them were strong-armed into handing over $5,000. And where was Triggs' concern for free speech when her commission virtually touted for complaints about this perfectly reasonable cartoon by Bill Leak, who was also dragged in for questioning and put under so much stress that his children believe it led to his fatal heart attack? And now for the final insult in Triggs' lecture yesterday. Do you know, she says she's also a victim of sexism. She says her critics say things about her and attack her in a way that would never have happened to a man. Yeah, like the media never attacks a man like George Pell or Tony Abbott or Bill Shorten. I mean, boo-hoo. Miss Triggs, I don't criticise you because you're a woman. I criticise you because I think you are biased and have said things I don't think are true. And because I think you see racism and sexism and Islamophobia where none exist. And worse, you have a dangerous, dangerous power to shut people up. And so that's why I also say your Human Rights Commission, it must be scrapped.